So this episode's gonna be all about James Clear and what he's thinking about. Just, health and nutrition and fast food and all this shit. Besides health, but fast food and junk food, that shit. But health is great. And this is actually the second day that I had to take because somehow everything was overloaded once again, and I don't know why. Now I've changed up such a minor setting in the settings actually, and now everything seems to be quite okay, but everything starts to just overload and to just really fuck around when I'm going into this one. Yeah, into this one actually. This seems to take up quite a lot of resources. I do not know why, but yeah, I just have to see whether everything is okay. But I hope and I guess it is okay. It seems not to take as much or consume as much of the CPU than that I'm having than normally. Yeah, I think it's okay. But the last time we've actually gone through quite all of these kind of things the food scientists do to actually make those junk foody things and those fast foody things taste so amazingly good. And we have gone through things like, the sound the chips gonna make when you bite into them and how it feels and the whole structure they have and whatsoever, how watery your mouth gets when you're just eating the fucking shit. Well, it is quite insane, to be honest. It really is somehow insane. But yeah, I think we've actually finished this one. I really guess so. Yeah, I think we've finished this one, and therefore we're going to start with the second point actually, which is how to make healthy eating easier. And I guess this is actually one of the most important and most interesting, even though the one above was just really interesting to see, food scientists do this and that and, whatsoever, to actually make things taste pretty good, which was quite, insane, as I said. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and be as fast or as quick or as accurate as I can. So the second one is how to make healthy eating easier. Most people think that building better habits or changing your actions is all about willpower or motivation. But the more I learn, the more I believe that the number of one driver or behavior change is your environment. Your environment has an incredible ability to shape your behavior. Nowhere is this more true than with food. What we eat on a daily basis is often a result of what we are presented, which is actually true. Let me share an interesting experiment to show you exactly what I mean. And I totally know what it means because it is actually the case, at least in my point of view. Often it's actually the case that, if your family is eating a certain way, you're also going to eat a certain way, until you move out or until you're going to live something else or somewhere else, actually. And, what they eat or what your mother cooks is just what you eat most of the time. For me, it is most often the case, even though I do have just really specific eating habits, I'm not eating something unhealthy. At least I really try to not do it, I'm really going in depth with this whole kind of behavior, if you want. I really try, for example, to not eat wheat and whatsoever. Sometimes I have to, sometimes I still do, even though just, sometimes it's just really kind of, how should I say, not stressful, but it takes up a lot of energy, especially if you had a hard day and if you had a tough day or something, then, it really, really depends on your discipline and really depends on, maybe your habits and whatsoever, or if you actually then cook yourself something new, or if you just eat something that, is not like what you should eat. But, the thing is I guess I'm also shaping the way my family is eating, and I'm also shaping the way my mother's cooking and whatsoever, because when I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna eat this, I'm really not gonna eat this, then she won't cook it any longer, because I guess she also doesn't like the way just throwing everything away or something. She clearly doesn't like it either. Me neither. Really, I really hate it when people throw away a lot of things. Especially if it's food. You know, I think it's like, okay, so many people on this fucking planet do not have something to eat, and we're just throwing it away because we don't like it is too much, and all these fucking shit. Like, you know, I don't understand this. Well, I do understand it, but I think it's quite fucked up, to be honest. But yeah, still, I really believe and know what he means, and the environment you're in will totally, not only in the way you're eating or what you're eating, but quite well your whole life. You know, your whole life is potentially being changed by the people that surround you, by your environment, by all these things that are quite surrounding you. And it's just amazing. It is really amazing. You know, as I've often said, I really haven't thought that the people around you really, really, really have such a great impact on who you are and well, what you do and whatsoever, but they really have, you know, sometimes more, sometimes less, I guess. You know, it always depends on you, the people around you, and quite a lot of other factors, I would say. But yeah, I actually should maybe check whether the text is actually too big in this kind of section or not. I think it is actually as big as this one. No, it's a little bit like different, but actually, like, I don't know why I like this one better, but for me it feels somehow better. I don't know why. I really don't. But yeah, the importance of environment for healthy eating. Anna Thorndike is a primary care physician at Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston. Thorndike and and her colleagues conducted a 6-month study that was published in the American Journal of Public Health. The study secretly took place in the hospital cafeteria and helped thousands of people develop healthy eating habits without changing their willpower or motivation in the slightest way. Thorndike and her team utilized a concept known as choice architecture. Choice architecture is just a fancy word for changing the way the food and drinks are displayed. But as it turns out, it makes a big difference. I'm just really looking forward to see what they did. I really do. You know, I in the beginning really thought like, okay, maybe they've just, you know, changed the way the food itself looks. You know, for example, you know, dyeing, for example, all the muffins blue. You know, blue is such a color that, you know, some people, or subconsciously, we wouldn't eat blue stuff. You know, if it's just really a bright blue, like a really deep bright blue, nobody would eat that. And actually, one of the things that food scientists said, or somewhere hear it or something, I don't actually know, that you should actually eat on a blue plate, because if you're eating on a blue plate, you're not going to eat as much as on a white plate, you know, just because of the color, which is really amazing and which is really interesting, to be honest. But yeah, let's actually see what they did. The researchers started by changing the choice architecture of the drinks in the cafeteria. Originally, there were 3 main refrigerators, all of which were filled with soda. The researchers made sure that water was added to each of those units and also placed baskets of bottled water throughout the room. The image below depicts. What does depict mean? The painting depicts Christ and the Virgin Mary. Portray, represent, picture, illustrate. I didn't know that. I really didn't. What the room looked like before the change, so figure A, which is the left one, and how it was changed to figure B. The dark boxes indicate areas where bottled water is available. Well, that's quite interesting. Now a screen would actually be nice where you can see quite everything. Big window. Oh, true. Let's actually make the big window to such a thing, I guess. Yeah. Now I think that's nice. I think that's really nice, but I shouldn't be there. Let's do me away. And there's also a legend, what it is called or not in English like this. But there you can see, okay, on the left side, you know, was there nothing, or was there just... So beverage refrigerators that does not contain bottled water. Okay, you know, beverage refrigerators that contains bottled water. Yeah, you know, to be really honest, like, they just really they just really exposed them to fucking water. Like before, there were exactly, 2 really fucking small places where you could get fucking boiled water, and then they just put boiled water every fucking where, like on every, just whatever this is, table, this kind of not blue, this kind of circle there next to this big oval, so right next to it, and there the other one, you can't actually see my mouse, which is a little bit bad, but never mind. There was no fucking water before. Like, for sure they're gonna just drink something else. But the thing is, it really is still strange. Not strange, but it's really amazing that it just really worked this way. Really amazing. Really interesting. So what happened? So the image source is, by the way, from the American Journal of Public Health. Gonna show you this. Of Public Health from April 2012. If you were interested in that. But yeah, so what happened? So over the next 3 months, the number of soda sales dropped by 11.4%. Meanwhile, bottled water sales decreased by 25.8%. Similar adjustments and results were made with food options. Nobody said a word to the visitors who ate at the cafeteria. The researchers simply changed the environment and people naturally followed suit. Choice architecture is even more important when you are already stressed, tired, or distracted, which is actually the point that I was just making before. It is incredibly difficult for a lot of people to actually just stick to their habits and especially stick to their eating habits when they are coming home, for example, from a really tough day. They're just really tired and they do not want to cook something, and they're just gonna eat just whatever is there, no matter if it's just good for them or if it's healthy or not. And this is a problem, which is actually one of the reasons why you maybe should not actually keep something unhealthy in your home. And therefore you're gonna just have the temptation of actually eating something unhealthy because there is nothing. But the thing there as well is that, for some people, eating healthy definitely has something to do with willpower. And the problem there is willpower is only one tank. I actually don't know, where I've got this from. It probably is from a book. It probably is from somebody really smart, I guess. But willpower is actually only one tank. It's one tank. You just have to just visualize it as one big tank of willpower, obviously. And this one tank of willpower gets just, what do you say? You actually, is it drain? Yeah, I think it's drain. You actually drain this whole just big tank of willpower through all the actions that you're doing. Through all the actions that you're doing that actually have willpower loss kinda implemented. Which means, your willpower is going to be drained by everything quite. The good thing about this is that if you're trying to build your willpower, which is actually definitely possible, it doesn't matter what you're doing, The willpower is only one tank, No matter if you're building it up or if you're draining it, it's just one tank, There are not multiple tanks that you just have to build individually. There is one tank. And if you want to build this one tank, you can basically do just whatever you want. Basically, theoretically, which means that, for example, you just build willpower by taking cold showers, for example. I think this is one of the best examples there actually is. You're taking cold showers, it definitely just takes some willpower, but you're building it, because you're just getting used to it. You're going to do it every single day. It will get something that is quite normal for you. It definitely will. And it feels amazing, when you've got used to it. When not, it is just really fucked up. Sometimes it's still fucked up. But yeah. You know what? Maybe I can find something. It would actually be nice. It would actually be really nice if I could find some willpower tank metaphor. Tank thoughts from think tanks. Well, no. The fish tank metaphor. Willpower tank. Oh god. What is a power tank? I don't know. Do you? Yeah. How to refill your willpower tank from Terry Williams. The myth about willpower is holding back your productivity. I'm really sorry, but I'm just trying to give you as much value as possible. And yeah, of course, I'm getting something that's incredibly long. There seems actually to be a Psychology Today article, which would be amazingly great. The way you think about willpower is hurting you. Can you have more willpower? Full up, blah, 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 blah. I can't do this. You can. You know what? If I'm able to just finish this one a little earlier, I'm trying to find something that's quite good. Or I think I'm just going to make an episode tomorrow about willpower independently. I've actually finished the Tim Ferriss Tools of Titans summary today, which actually makes me be able to do this tomorrow. But as far as I know, willpower is only one tank. So you're building it up with something like, for example, which is the good thing, you're building up with something like taking cold showers, which might definitely take some willpower, but you're going to have more willpower. You're just going to have it. And this willpower you can also use for not taking cold showers, but just doing something else, for eating healthier, for just doing more sports, for just doing something else. It just does not have something to do with taking cold showers itself. You're building one tank, and this one tank can be used for everyone or for everything. And you can also build this tank with everything, which is amazing, which is really amazing, as far as I know. I'm really sorry if this is not right, but it is actually something that I have forgotten. I've actually been talking about this, which is actually, I think, well, I do just have some periods in my time or in my life, just while I'm going through so many things. And then when I'm seeing something that's just incredibly just great, I guess, I'm going to talk about it for such a long time, and then I'm forgetting it. And in the meantime, I'm just going to talk about something that's just incredible or got incredible just in the meantime. But yeah. So yeah, I think I'll stop there. So if you're already worn down, you're probably not going to go through a lot of effort to cook a healthy dinner or fit in a workout. You will grab or do whatever is easiest. That means that if you take just a little bit of time today to organize your room, your office, your kitchen, and other areas, then that adjustment in choice architecture can guide you toward better choices, even when your willpower is fading. So design your laziness. Seems to be a link there. How to eat healthy without noticing. And then they're just incredibly great. Am I able to go through this? What should I eat? Yeah, I think I'm able to go through this because I'm already assuming that this is incredibly great. So how to eat healthy without noticing. Brian Wensink is a professor at Cornell University, and he has completed a variety of studies on how your environment shapes your eating decisions. Many of the ideas below come from his popular book, Mindless Eating, which is also in form of an audiobook, which is also available as an audiobook. So here are some of his best practical strategies for using choice architecture to make healthy eating easier. The first one is use smaller plates. Actually also use smaller spoons. Something that I've noticed and something that I consciously do is using smaller spoons. Because I just noticed that, if I'm just having really big spoons, I'm gonna just shovel everything into my fucking mouth like it was just, I don't know, like nothing, like it was water, which is not that good. I wanna just really, eat my food more consciously, I guess. And therefore, I'm just trying to I think take the smallest spoon that I'm having and just using it, or fork, or, whatever you're using to eat your things. But I guess it helps. Sometimes it's just, a little bit pissing you off, I guess, because it is so small. but I guess it works. I guess it really works. So use smaller plates. Bigger plates mean bigger portions, and that means you eat more. According to a study conducted by Wensink and his research team, if you made a simple change and served your dinner on 10-inch plates instead of a 12-inch plate, you would eat 20% less food over the course of the next year. Which is just something, which is really a lot, especially if you think about how much you're actually eating. Like, well, there are some studies, on just various different countries and whatsoever. I think, some people eat just 1 kilo of chocolate, which is actually for those people that are not in the metric system, and I don't know if they're familiar with that. 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds. It is a lot, it's just actually a lot. And 20% less is definitely like 0.78 kilograms, which is well 71.96 pounds, I guess. On a related note, if you're thinking I'll just put less food on my plate, it is not that simple. The picture below explains why. When you eat a small portion of a large plate, your mind feels unsatisfied. Meanwhile, the same portion will feel more filling when eating off of a small plate. The circles in the image below are the same size, but your brain and stomach doesn't view them that way. It is actually the case. I think it's a pretty nice one. Pretty nice example actually, where it really seems, the right one seems just so much bigger. It really does. I can't help myself. But on the left one is just, and they both, what drug is the right eye on, and what drug is the left eye on? The image shows how small portion sizes can look filling on a small plate, but sparse on a large plate. What does sparse mean? Areas of scant, scattered, thinly distributed, scarcely, infrequent, sporadic. This is something that I know. The second one is, want to drink less alcohol or soda? Use tall, slender glasses instead of short and fat ones. Take a look at the image below. Is the horizontal or vertical line longer? I assume that they are both just exactly the same, but the vertical one just really seems to be longer. Like the lines in this photo, vertical glasses will look bigger than horizontal ones and will therefore naturally help you drink less. Amazing. As it turns out, both lines are the same length, okay? But our brains has a tendency to overestimate vertical lines. In other words, taller drinks look bigger to our eyes than round horizontal mugs do. And because height makes things look bigger than width, you will actually drink less from taller glasses. In fact, you will typically drink about 20% less from a tall, slender glass than you would from a short, fat glass. Hat tip to Dario or Daria Pino for originally sharing this image and idea. Actually a pretty great one. But what I'm seeing there is also that you could actually also just think about it in a different way. I do just have some problems, quote unquote, with drinking enough, and I could just use those really fat, small glasses you shouldn't use for soda drinking to drink my fucking water. And then, basically, I guess, because I'm normally actually drinking out of tall glasses, well, not really, but because I'm just looking at the glass there. But it actually could help me because I'm really not just, drinking anything a whole day long, unless when I'm doing sports, unless I'm doing sports, then I actually drink a lot because then I'm thirsty. The third one is use plates that have a high contrast color with your food. As I've mentioned before, use blue. Because this is definitely not something that you're gonna eat in, unless it's blueberries or some other berries. who knows? Who knows what you're eating actually? So as I mentioned in this article, when the color of your plate matches the color of your food, you naturally serve yourself more because your brain has trouble distinguishing the portion size from the plate. Because of this, dark green and dark blue make great plate colors because they contrast with light foods like pasta and potatoes, which means you're likely to serve less of them. But don't contrast very much with leafy greens and vegetables, which means you're likely to put more of them on your plate. Which is then extremely good. Because think like, okay, it's just, way too less vegetables on this fucking plate. You're gonna just put another spoon on it. Or another, something on it. And then you're eating more vegetables and less of this other shit. Yeah, still I guess white plates, unless you're actually eating pasta, just, meat is often also white, white, just some kind of creamy color thing. 6 to go, or 3 left to go. Display healthy foods in a prominent place. For example, you could place a bowl of fruits or nuts near the front door or somewhere else that you pass by before you leave the house. When you're hungry and in a rush, you're more likely to grab the first thing you see. Which is actually true, and which somehow underlines the thing that I've just shared before, which is actually like, okay, let's actually do it another way, and let's actually only have just healthy foods and healthy things in your fucking house, because then there's no temptation, there's no way you're gonna eat something unhealthy, unless you're just driving to the next, supermarket and just buy yourself something. But this is just a different story, I guess. The 5th one is wrap unhealthy foods in tin oil. Not tin oil, but tin foil. Wrap healthy foods in plastic wrap. I think it just plays into you being way too kind of lazy to just, open the tin foil and then just, I'm seeing, I don't know. The old saying, out of sight, out of mind, turns out to have some truth to it. Eating isn't just a physical event, but also an emotional one. Your mind often determines what it wants to eat based on what your eyes see. Thus, if you hide unhealthy foods by wrapping them up or tucking them away in less prominent places, then you are less likely to eat them. Well, makes sense, because you're not just eating them. The problem there is, what if they just really get moldy? I didn't know what this means. I didn't know what moldy was in English. Well, yeah, you know what I mean. Moldy. It actually sounds, or actually moldy. Moldy. I think it's moldy. Let's say moldy. It just sounds nicer. In German it doesn't sound that nice. Maybe just because I knew it. Never mind. Yeah. Where I've stopped. The 6th and last one actually is keep healthy foods in larger packages and containers and unhealthy foods in smaller ones. Big boxes and containers tend to catch your eye more, take up space in the kitchen and pantry, and otherwise get in your way. As a result, you're more likely to notice them and eat them. Meanwhile, smaller items can hide in your kitchen for months and then they mold, which is amazing. Super tip, thank you. Just take a look at what you have lying around now. It is probably small cans and containers. Small cans. It's bigger than my fucking head. But I really like big things. I really... God... That's what she said. I really like having big water bottles because it just lets me be able to drink more water, I guess. And it is also tall and relatively thin, I'd say. But, nice, because I'm just drinking more water out of something like this, then, if I just always have to fill it up and fill it up and fill it up. The only problem that I'm having is, plastic things. I know it's not that nice as glass things. The problem that I'm having with glass things is actually that they are breaking quite easily. Especially, I think I would break them because, when I'm shooting around with a ball in my room or something, I'm gonna definitely hit them. I'm gonna definitely fuck them over and they're gonna break. Not that nice. Having some water in your room all the fucking time. No, the points that I'm making are good. They are really good. But I guess, just not buying unhealthy stuff is, one of the best ways. But if you just have healthy stuff and, if you have healthy stuff or unhealthy stuff, I'm sorry, and you do not want to eat them any longer, why don't you give it away? Like to other people, to your family, to your neighbors, like you could definitely do this. And when they've, ask like, why are you doing this? I do not want to eat them any longer. I want to be healthy. Definitely something that's okay, I guess. The bonus tip, if you buy a large box of something unhealthy, you can repackage it into smaller Ziploc bags or containers, which should make it less likely that you'll binge and eat a lot at once. And, the best would be if you just have multiple Ziploc bags, just hundreds of them, and you just really hide them everywhere in your whole house. And then, just after a year and you find them, they're gonna be just moldy as fuck. And that's super duper nice. Just really getting comfortable actually talking English today. It's always something different. I think I would just make way more jokes in German than in English. But that's my fucking process. It's really my process. I hope that's gonna be the same exact thing as, same exact thing tomorrow. Because then it's gonna be an amazing kind of story episode. And yeah. By the way, appropriate. Never mind. Thank you very much for listening and or watching actually. I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and also success. And also hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you're going to be remembered. So basically your legacy. I really hope that you just, look after it because it is in your control. Even though something that I always want to say, just additionally to that is you're not going to serve everyone. Not everyone's going to like you. Just by default, I guess, not everyone's going to like you. It is what it is. I can't do and you can't do anything about it, I guess. But being just one of the nicest people on the fucking planet. Bye. I see you the next time. Thank you very much.